So in the last class, we were discussing about DWDM. DWDM means what? Dense wavelength division multiplexing. So in the last class, we were discussing about the DWDM system. So in the DWDM system, as we understood that there are something like different wavelengths will be present. So video, audio, text, data, and all. Okay. So here in this particular scenario, there is N channel DWDM mux. We are going to do it. So fiber length we are going to consider. So normal mux multiplexer, and what about this DWDM? Normal WDM and normal WDM and DWDM. What is the difference? The difference is very simple. In normal WDM, all wavelengths are of similar kind. Okay, some what you call for that, some normal capacity will be there. But when you are talking about the DWDM, always it is something like high capacity. Okay, high capacity lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda n up to lambda n we are going to consider. Okay, so video, audio, text, data. Okay, so here video, audio when you are considering, so it is very much true that, okay, so video and audio will be having the high capacity. Okay, that is what we had discussed in the last class. Today we will discuss about Mach-Zehnder interferometer. Okay, this is also one type of multiplexer. Okay, so Mach-Zehnder, take the heading all of you. Mach-Zehnder interferometer, that is MZ multiplexer. Okay, so your Mach-Zehnder interferometry is used to make wavelength dependent multiplexers. Okay, so very important thing. Wavelength dependent multiplexer. These are all wavelength dependent multiplexers. So these devices can be either active or passive. Okay. So here interferometer, when are talking about this Mach-Zehnder interferometers, so these particular devices can be active devices or passive devices. Passive devices means what? With external energy, the device is going to work. Active devices means what? They themselves generate the energy in order to work for them. Okay, that input we are not talking about. We are talking about okay. So you can please go through the slide, all of you. So here a layout of 2x2 passive Mach-Zehnder interferometer is shown in the figure. So it will be having the three stages, that is 3 dB splitter, phase shifter, and 3 dB combiner. Okay, 3 dB splitter, phase shifter, and 3 dB combiner. So after you taking this one, we can go for the next thing, that is this particular diagram. Please write this particular diagram, Mach-Zehnder interferometer. So here 3 dB splitting, 3 dB phase, 3 dB splitting, phase shifting, 3 dB combining and all you can be able to see here. So here there is a input 1, okay, input 1, input 2 slots and output 1, output 2 slots, okay. So here what exactly happen here is you can see that okay. So when the input 1, that means what the input from the EN1, the slot, if it is moving, okay. So you can able to see very clearly that, okay. So you can able to see very clearly that the area or the length of the traveling distance is increased, okay. So length of the traveling distance is increased. So when the length of the traveling distance is being increased, okay, so you can able to see that the wave will go somewhat late, okay. So when the length of the signal, okay, when the what do you call for that, when we understand that, okay, so how it moves and all, okay. So the wave which see, suppose in the first slot and second slot, if two waves are started to move in the same distance, okay, same time. So at that particular point of time, what exactly happens is, okay, at that particular time, what exactly happens is the first wave will travel more distance, second wave will travel less distance. So when first wave is traveling more distance, obviously it will reach late. Why? Because time consumption will also be increased. Okay, time consumption will also be increased. The second thing is what? It will, the wave will pass, second wave will pass quickly. Why? Because quicker than the first wave. Okay. Now that particular scenario, how much time extra it is taking, that particular thing is been already calculated, and how it has to be made, it is been already made. So it has been like a 3 dB splitter. That means what? The distance extra covers now. That particular distance will be the 3 dB splitter. Okay. And another time you can see that it is L is the distance. Okay, that particular phase shifter. The phase, see, one wave is appearing at one particular angle, and the same another wave is appearing in the different angle. That means what? Phase is going to be shifted. Phase shifter is going to happen. Okay. And the next thing is what? 3 dB combiner. Okay. So 3 dB combiner. So all these things are going to happen. So I can able to see this particular diagram, all of you. So see the diagram. And write the diagram, all of you. So please take this particular diagram, all of you. So once you have taken this particular diagram, please let me know. So once this particular thing you are taken, so we can go for the next one, that is so here you can see the whatever the explanation I gave you, the same thing is been explained here. That is what initially a 3 dB directional coupler is used to split the input signal. Okay, so initially 3 dB directional coupler is used to split the input signal. So here the middle stage in which one of the waveguide is longer by delta L. That means what waveguide, when you're talking about the waveguide, okay. So one of the waveguide is, okay, one of the waveguide is longer by delta L. That means what initially if two waveguides are having the same L length difference, okay, length distance. So one wave will be having the different. That means what delta L is a change. That particular change will give the phase shift. Okay, so middle stage in which one of the waveguide is longer by delta L to a given wavelength dependent phase shift between the two arms. Okay, so that particular difference of delta L will give the phase shift between the two arms. Okay, that means for two sides, that is two waves. The third stage is 3 dB coupler, so which recombines the signal at output stage. So here the third stage is that 3 dB coupler, okay, so which recombines the signals at the output stage, so that when the splitting of the signal is happened, phase shift is happened for one particular wave, and next is what the wave is combined. That means what polarization states. So when horizontal and vertical waves are there, okay, horizontal plane and vertical plane. So here one plane is moving in a faster way and another plane is moving in a slower phase. So obviously what will happen? Okay, obviously what will happen? There are something like phase will be shifted for one particular way. So one particular thing, the phase is being shifted. Okay, so then we are going to get some output out of it. So thus the input beam is splitted on phase shift and is introduced in one of the paths. The recombined signals will be in phase at one output and out of phase at another output. Please go through this particular slide. So initially 3 dB directional coupler is used to split the input signal. So the middle stage in which one of the waveguide is longer by delta L to a given wavelength dependent phase shift between the two arms. The third stage is a 3 dB coupler once again, the which recombines the signals at output. So here this is the functionality of these particular things. Okay, thus the input beam is splitted on phase shift. splitted and phase shift is introduced in one of the paths and the signals are recombined, okay, will be the phase at one output and out of phase in another output. That means what? In phase and out of phase. So in phase is the signal where phase shift is not happened. Okay, so the wave which is traveled in the distance of L, it is in phase. The wave which is in traveled with delta L, okay, L plus delta L, that is out of phase. Okay, the moral of the story is very simple. The input beam is splitted and phase shift is introduced in one of the paths. The recombined signal will be in phase and out in phase at one output and out of phase at another output. That is what exactly is going to happen. Please take this particular diagram and some lines of explanation, all of you. So once you have taken this one, you can go to this particular 3 lines of explanation. So please make a note of this particular explanation. So once you've taken this particular explanation, I can see the some of the equation related to this one. So the output powers are given by. So here P out in the first put it is P out 1 equal to E out 1 plus E star out 1. That means what here? E star is the phase difference. Okay. So out of phase value. So here P out 2 is equal to E out 2 plus E star out 2. So that is what exactly we're going to cut. That means what? One particular phase will be in phase and another one particular phase will be out of phase. That is what exactly the concept here. Okay. The optical output powers are square of, okay. So this particular thing you can be able to take this particular equation. P out 1 square equal to P out of 1 equal to sine square K1 delta L divided by 2, okay. So into P in 2 plus cos square K2 delta L divided by 2 P in 2. So this is the equation they have found out for this particular Mach-Zehnder interferometer, okay. So what is this particular K, K1 or K2 or what is this particular K equal to? So 2 pi neta effective divided by lambda j, okay. So the effective efficiency and lambda, the wavelength which has been traveling, okay, that is what exactly the value is here. Delta L is what? Delta L is the difference in the length. Okay, so K is equal to what? 2 pi, the constant value 2 pi neta effective divided by lambda j, because lambda j is already known to you because in which what kind of wave we are traveling. So neta effective will also be calculated. That is why it is also the constant value. So take these equations, all of you. So delta L is equal to difference of path lengths. P in J equal to so once you take these particular equations, you can go to the next slide. Okay. So here also you can see that if all power from both the input should leave the same output port. Okay. So K1 equal to delta L divided by 2, that is equal to pi, and K2 equal to delta divided by 2, that is equal to pi by 2. K1 minus K2 into delta L will be equal to 2 pi n effective into 1 divided by delta 1 lambda 1 minus 1 divided by lambda 2 into delta L will get. So kindly write this all of these equations, all of you. See, these are, see, we don't need to learn the derivatives of this particular thing. Okay. So derivatives and all is not required. Okay. So only thing is what we require is we need to understand the equation. That's all. Okay. So delta L is equal to 2 pi n effective 1 divided by lambda n minus 1 divided by lambda 2. So once you have gone through this particular equations, okay, so we can go for this particular thing, that is dielectric thin film filter. Okay, TFF. So this particular dielectric thin film filter, okay. So here it is a Fabry Perret interferometer. Okay, the cavity is formed by using multiple reflective dielectric thin film layers. Okay. So TFF works as band pass filter, passing through specific wavelength and reflecting all other wavelengths. Okay, the cavity length decides the passing wavelength. The cavity length decides the passing wavelength. So here you can try the diagram first. Later we can discuss the explanation part of it. So once you've taken this particular diagram, okay, we can go for the understanding of this one. Okay. So here a thin film resonant cavity filter. Okay, thin film filter or thin film resonant cavity filter is a Fabry Perret interferometer. So here a cavity is formed by using multiple reflective dielectric thin film layers. Okay, so here thin film filter works as a band pass filter. So now we are see in the particular okay, here you can see the cavity 1, cavity 2 and cavity 3 you are seen, right? So one cavity will pass one particular set of frequency like that. Okay, band pass filter it is acting as. The cavity is formed by using multiple reflective dielectric thin film layers. Okay, so here thin film filters works as a band pass filter. So you're passing through specific wavelength and reflecting all other wavelengths. So the cavity length decides the passing wavelength. Cavity length decides the passing wavelength. So the filter consisting of 2 or more cavities. So dielectric reflectors is called then thin film resonant multi-cavity filter. Okay. So a filter consisting of 2 or more cavities. Okay. Dielectric reflectors is called thin film resonant multi-cavity filter. See, resonant multi-cavity, that means what? Resonant cavity means what? Between the two reflectors, whatever the cavity generated, no, that is called as what? Resonant cavity we say. Okay, so like that, if multiple cavities are generated, then what is called as? It is called as what? It is called as what? Thin film resonant multi-cavity filter. thin film resonant multi-cavity filter. So here figure 7.7.1 shows a 3-cavity thin film filter. So as I told you, here cavity 1, if it is there, only we can say that only one cavity or just a cavity. But here cavity 1, cavity 2, cavity 3 are there already. That is why we can say that it is a multi-cavity. It is called as what? Multi-cavity thin film filter. So once you've gone through it, once please take this 3 conditions, all of you. So after taking this one, you can go for the next thing, that is for configuring a multiplexer and demultiplexer, a number of such filters can be cascaded. Each filter passes a different wavelength and reflects other. Okay, for configuring multiplexer and demultiplexer, a number of such filters can be cascaded. So each filter passes a different wavelength and reflects other. So here, while using as a demultiplexer, the filter in cascade passes one wavelength and reflects all others onto second filter. So your second filter passes another wavelength and reflects remaining wavelengths. That means what? When all wavelengths are incident at the same time, okay, one particular filter cavity will pass one particular wavelength and it will bounce back, reflects back all other. Similarly, the second filter will pass the another wavelength and reflects all other things. Similarly, the third one, like that it is keep on going, okay. That's how the thin film filters is working. So what are the features next? So when you're talking about the features, here is a very flat top on passband and very sharp objects, sharp outputs are possible. So device is extremely stable in temperature variations. That is one of the best advantage here. Device is extremely stable in temperature variations. So very low loss, very low loss. The next thing is what device is insensitive to polarization of the signals. Device is insensitive to polarization of the signals. So device is insensitive to polarization of the signal. See here, this is a very, very important aspect. Device should be insensitive to polarization of signals, should be very low loss. Device is extremely stable in temperature variations. These are the best advantages. Okay, that's why some of the devices will be used very frequently. So by this we can stop the class. Okay, I just wanted to tell you a few things. Internals is coming. Okay, so be prepared for your internals.